Hey, welcome to Goals, Grit, and Some Woo-Woo Shit. I'm your host, Una Duncan, but actually, I won't be your host today. I am going to be the guest. Your host today will be Liat Horovitz from the Results Club podcast. She was kind enough to have me on her show the other day, and I got to share the story of my fitness journey, how I started as someone who absolutely hated physical activity and who was vulnerable to every fad diet because I was always trying to lose 10 pounds. To someone who is now a multi-award-winning trainer who has now helped tens of thousands of people get in the best physical condition of their lives. If you have ever had the goal of getting in better shape, I think you're going to like this episode.
Breaking news. Your dream life isn't going to happen because you made a vision board. You're going to need goals, grit, and some woo-woo shit. This podcast is about getting clarity on what you want, having the grit to do the actual work, and most importantly, constantly training your brain to be your bitch. Ready to be inspired? Here is your host, best-selling author, Una Duncan.
So Una Duncan is our guest today, and I have to say, Una, before I even hand the microphone over to you, I devoured your book. Excuse the pun. I was like so into it. I think I got through it in just a few days. And what struck me the most is your energy. And I'm absolutely I'm just super excited and buzzing to introduce you to my people. Una Duncan, welcome to the Results Club podcast.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to be here. Hi, everyone.
So fun. I first found out about you through Eleanor Beaton's podcast, Woman Owned. And I mean, your business story is fascinating. Your life story is fascinating. And then I told you this, I saw you were a fellow redhead and I was like, okay, I'm sold. I'm in. I want to chat. So thank you for being here. I really want you to take a moment to introduce yourself. Please share with the listeners a little bit about the amazing work that you do and, how you make an impact in the world.
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, thank you for such a lovely introduction. And I feel like I'm misleading you a little bit because look, at my gray is coming in. I know I'm no longer an actual redhead anymore.
It's okay. You're always once a redhead, always
in
a
my
redhead.
soul, I am, if not the hair coming out of my head at this moment. 100%. Anyway, so we'll just put that aside and I'll say, oh man, Leah, I have been a fitness instructor for a million years. But before that, I was the most unlikely person to be. I was an enthusiastic smoker. I couldn't have thought of anything more embarrassing than exercising on purpose. Oh. I was someone who would have just, was always dreading gym class. And I really, and I also thought it was really lame. I thought that was kind of dorky to be all out there exercise. Anyway, it was just 100% not my thing. And as maybe some of your listeners have realized, that doesn't work for you in the long term. Not exercising and smoking and having extra mayo on your Whoppers. It will only work for you for a certain amount of time. Yeah. And then it stops working. Absolutely. And so for me, I was noticing this isn't working anymore. And I had some meta shame about that because although I was not loving that I was getting chubbier every year, I also, feel like I'm a feminist and I don't want to hate my body and I don't want to go on some stupid diet and blah, blah, blah. And meanwhile, but secretly, I was so unhappy with my body that I was kind of secretly doing Slim Fast, secretly. Oh God, I sent away is anyone here old enough to remember when they used to have in the back of magazines, send a self-addressed envelope to blah, 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 and we'll send you blah, blah. So I did that and I got some green slime in the mail that I was supposed to eat right before dinner. And I had to have a 2-hour window before I ate it. And it was supposed to burn my fat while I was sleeping. I was so vulnerable to all of these promises. And now I just think of all the people who are just getting bombarded with this in their brains as anytime they log on to the internet.
I was going to say with the rise of social media, it's everywhere. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I'll fast forward all of this. So point being that I am not someone who is a natural athlete at all. I am not someone who enjoyed exercise at first at all. And through all of that, I came to a simple system of healthy habits that made me feel so good that I just kept doing it. And then my body completely transformed and I became a fitness instructor and a trainer. And now, to give my short bio, I've won multiple awards in the fitness industry. I have a best-selling book called Healthy as Fuck. Is this a swearing podcast?
It
is
do
now.
it. I'm about to start throwing the F-bombs, so go at it.
Thank you. And with my business, Fit Feels Good, I have had the opportunity to train tens of thousands of people, mostly women who are in that Gen X window. So probably, 40 to 60. And these are often people who thought that their metabolism was broken, who had tried everything, who really were not getting success. And I have been able to deliver amazing results just in the way I delivered it for myself, with a really simple system of healthy habits that makes you feel good today. Not like I have to grit myself through a whole bunch of horrible bullshit and then finally I'll be skinny. That doesn't actually work.
Yes. Oh, okay. So we have to dive into this, because what struck me, and there were a few things that sort of shot out at me when I was reading your book. And the first is very clear and obvious. And if you haven't heard it or felt it since Una started talking, this will just compound this. Your energy and the tone of your book and your work is very refreshing. It is very different. It's refreshing. It's raw. It's like you cuss, you swear. So do I. So I was like immediately drawn to the title. I was like, healthy as fuck. Yes, I want to be healthy as fuck. And then I have to tell you, there was a moment where you spoke about, I laughed out loud. I stopped in my tracks. I think I was out on a run and I stopped and I was like, that was good. When you said it's the 7 habits of healthy motherfuckers. And I was like, I'm sold. I'm done. It just is such a refreshing approach to the whole topic. And when you started out in the book, I'm not giving all the spoilers, but I loved the fact that you really went deep on what do you actually want for yourself?
Yeah.
Because it is a choice, and we do have the freedom to make that choice. And which way you choose to be, if you're eating the muffins and the donuts, it's good and it's all fine, as long as you choose to do that mindfully and intentionally. So I had a massive revelation from your book, and I am a vegetarian. So the amount of vegetables that I was already consuming was already high. But then when I read your book and the whole section on vegetables blew my mind, because what you did was you took that topic of eating all the veggies and you made it we made us understand why. Not just, it's packed with nutrients and vitamins and all the things. You really helped understand why it's so important and how it can add to joyful eating. And so I have since then even further upped my intake of vegetables. But for the average person listening who maybe isn't consuming their vegetables, as you suggest, let's start there. Tell us about the veggies.
Sure. So I have the 7 habits of highly healthy motherfuckers. And number 1 is fill half of every plate with vegetables. And it is so simple. And first of all, I'm going to say, Leah, the 7 habits of highly healthy motherfuckers, they're not on Instagram, they're the one secret doctors don't want you to know. There's no secret. All of the habits are things that literally your kindergarten teacher told you about. Eat your vegetables, get some sleep, don't drink so much booze. Maybe that wasn't mentioned in kindergarten, but come on. But there is the secret. You already know what to do. You just don't know how to make yourself do it. Ooh. So, right. So it's not there's a big secret, but there are little tweaks that maybe people don't get. So when people are I eat my vegetables, and I'm like, do you really? Fill half of every plate with vegetables. Right now, people are going through, especially if you do have the kind of Instagram feed that I do, and especially if you do spend as much time online as I do, and I kind of hope you don't, but chances are that you do. Mm-hmm. There's so much noise about macros and calories and fiber and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what, dude? If you fill half of every plate with vegetables, 80% of that is taken care of for you. Yeah. Your fiber is taken care of, your vitamins taken care of, your nutrients taken care of, the diversity is taken care of. All of that stuff is kind of your caloric, allotment is taken care of. It's really hard to eat if 50% of the volume of what you're eating is vegetables. And so a lot of times people are like, I eat pretty healthy. And then, I used to be a trainer who would go into people's homes and they would give me their they'd write out their food for the day and I'd have a look at it. And, these people they're not fucking dumb. These are really highly educated, really like go-getter. They're the kind of people who have the kind of jobs that can afford a trainer to come to their home a couple of times a week, right?
Yes.
A high-end trainer at that time. And they'd show me their plan. And it usually looks something like, let me think, what would they put? They'd have eggs for breakfast, or maybe like a chia pudding or something like that. And then lunch would be sort of like maybe a chicken salad wrap or something like that. And then dinner would be, some salmon with some green beans on the side. And then maybe they'd have a protein bar for dinner or something, or for a snack, right? And I'm looking at that and I'm like, okay, like this not. Hold on, it's not like horrible. It's not like they're having like, fucking vodka for every meal or whatever.
Let me just say,
McDonald's.
Yeah. Okay.
But there's probably, in what I just described, there's probably one serving of vegetable, green beans, maybe two if they threw a tomato in their wrap, right? Gluten-free wrap or whatever. Maybe three if they had like a celery sticks for a snack, but probably not. So it's 2 servings of vegetables. Most dietetic organizations recommend 7 to 10 servings of vegetables. So basically, like, people are out there freaking out about getting enough protein, for example, when the average North American already consumes, about twice as much protein that is the minimum standard recommended. Now, definitely, a lot of us can benefit from more, blah, blah, blah. But like the minimum standard, most of us are exceeding that times 2. And most of us are not even coming fucking close to getting as many vegetables as the minimum standard. And so what I suggest is that people shift their focus towards centering the vegetables. So often, when I was a meat eater, I would center my meal around the meat. I'm okay, we're going to have chicken today. And then what are we going to have on the side? Some potatoes and then a salad or whatever. And then when I was a vegetarian, I often centered it around the starch. I'd be like, okay, we're going to have pasta, or we're going to have quinoa or whatever. And then what are we going to put on top of it? Vegetables, blah, blah. And then now what I do is I'm like, okay, I need, here are all the vegetables I'm going to eat. 50% of what I'm going to have is vegetables. And then what's my protein going to be? What's my carbohydrate? So it's really recentering how you think of designing meals. Vegetables first.
I love it. I have to tell you, since then, I've been just really inspired to expand on the variety of vegetables.
For sure.
And like when you have it in your home,
yeah,
50%, maybe even more, 60 to 70% of the work is done. If you have it, you're likely to cook it and eat it.
Totally.
It's just a matter of like opening your realm to looking at the different section in the supermarket for some different veggies and bringing it in and making it happen. I think I bought a spaghetti squash the other day that I haven't done in years. And I was like, okay, what are we going to do now?
Yeah, we're at a new level here. Okay, what are we going to do with you? I see you spaghetti squash. Yeah, totally.
So fun. Thank you for sharing that. This is the perfect time to talk about health goals. I mean, when isn't? But I did love your fresh approach to this, because what I got from what you were saying is that it's not about how you look and it's not about the size. And yes, it can sound cliched, but it really is about how you feel. But how you feel. And I know that when I'm in, like, I like to pride myself as being a peak performer, someone who is a high performer, someone who wants to curate and then maintain this high level of energy so that I can show up, obviously, to my work and to my community, but at home, behind the scenes, to my kids, when I'm chilling with my husband, with my friends, with my family, and so on. And so it really is about the way we feel. And I feel like I've clicked into that in my older, more mature years. But I would like to hear, like, from you. Clearly, you're an expert in this. Tell me about what that means to you and how you curate that in your work.
Yeah, well, first of all, Leah, I do want to say, if anyone's listening and they do have aesthetic goals, like if you just want to get leaner because you just fucking love the way that looks, then absolutely go for it. Like, I want to say that I don't shoot that down at all. In fact, there's a big section of my book that's like why you should totally try and get hot abs, even if you have a women's studies degree. And I'm saying basically whatever you choose to do with your body is, and whatever lights you up as a goal for you, there's nothing inherently, more altruistic or more, beneficial for the world, like running a marathon versus getting lean for a photo shoot. Like, both of these things, it's whatever lights you up, I think is great. Okay. So I'll just put that out there in the first place. And you should be clear that it whatever you want, even if it's just to get super skinny for a photo shoot or whatever, you want that because of how it's going to make you feel. You think that it's going to make you feel sexy and confident and like yourself or whatever, like good in your skin, like whatever is that feeling. That's what you really want. You don't actually care about your weight, your gravitational pull on the earth. You don't care about that. You don't actually care about your gene size because let's face it, they're so freaking random. Like, you know, there are different gene size in every size, like that. It's completely meaningless. What is meaningful is how you feel in your skin right now. Yeah. And that's why you want whatever is the goal that you want. And this is for business too. Like you say, I want to make $1 million this year. Well, why do you want that? Oh, because it can buy blah, blah, blah. But really, you want it because how that's going to make you feel. It's going to make you feel freedom and empowered and, you know, whatever, successful, blah, blah, blah. And those are the feelings that you want. And these are the same thing with any kind of fitness goal, whether it is running a marathon, getting super lean, whatever. It's the feeling that you want. And here's the deal. Whatever that feeling is that you want, that you think you're going to have at the pot of gold at the end of your journey, you have to practice it right now. Like I called my business Fit Feels Good because not only, of course, it feels good to be fit, of course, but also feeling good is the way by which you will get there. There is actually no other way. One thing I always say is no one has ever hated themselves into a body that they love. Oof. That's not possible. No one has ever hated themselves into a body that they love. Like what will happen if you, and there's so much data around this. If you look in the mirror right now and the only thing you see is, oh my God, I've got to get rid of this muffin top. And oh my God, I can't believe the cellulite's coming in and you're just practicing all of these thoughts and these feelings of self-criticism over and over and over again. You are so unlikely to get to your goals. Mm-hmm. And I know that's really hard because people are like, oh, that makes me feel even worse. I don't know how to stop that. Mm-hmm. You stop that with all the little baby steps. Guys, it's like building any muscle. I get that you probably can't look in the mirror right now and be like, damn girl, looking good. Like if you've only ever practiced thoughts of self-criticism, I understand. That would be like asking you to do like a one-armed pull-up when you've never even done like a bicep curl. It's just like that muscle is not there yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to take baby steps. Now you're going to practice looking in the mirror fully clothed and be like, hey, this lipstick looks good on me. Hey, my legs look great in heels. This is a flattering top. I like this neckline, whatever, like baby. And so the deal is you practice a thought that feels a little bit better, that doesn't feel like bullshit. You can't bullshit yourself. Okay. Mm-hmm. You can't be like, I really like the way I look today. If you don't, like your brain will call bullshit and it won't. So what we're just doing is we're practicing building that muscle, feeling good. And here's what happens. When you start to feel good, then you start to treat yourself a little bit better. You start to make better choices because the data shows that, you know, they did this study where they had a bunch of people and, you know, they fooled them by pretending it was a math study. So they had them doing some math, but they happened to have M&Ms on the table. Okay. And of course, people are like, math, oh, M&M, well, I don't mind if I do, right? And so they're eating some M&Ms. And then they saw the scientists afterwards and they said, oh, by the way, if you ate some M&Ms, it's totally fine. Like, don't worry about that. It doesn't even matter. That's all they said. And then they did a little self-esteem test. Okay. And no, they didn't do a self-esteem test. Then they did another test and they had M&Ms again. Here's what happened. The people who did not get the messaging that it's okay that you ate the M&Ms, they ended up eating twice as much in the second round. So the point is that the more you beat yourself up, the more likely you are to eat more, the more likely you are to self-soothe with the behaviors that got you into this position in the first place. And the more you feel good, the more you're like, yeah, wow, I'm starting to like, yeah, you know what? Maybe I am like a little bit more, you know, athletic or whatever. That's not chunk, that's athletic body. Like whatever doesn't feel like bullshit to you, whatever feels good. Then you start to like feel a little bit and they're like, yeah, then you start to act like a little bit of an athlete. Then you start to be like, oh, whatever. You start to act in the world like the person that you want to be. And then that's a snowball effect. So no one has ever hated themselves into a body that they love. It just doesn't work. And you've got to start practicing little baby steps to feel just choose a thought that feels like a tiny bit better, that doesn't feel like bullshit, and then keep building that muscle.
Oh, that's power. Power. Brilliant. Okay, so you touched upon a possible route that one might take, and I resonate very strongly with this. And the way that you wrote it in the book also made me laugh. But basically, when you speak about experiencing a case of the fuckets, You're like, fuck it, I'm eating it. I'm doing it. I'm having the tub of ice cream. I'm doing the cookies, whatever it looks like. We all experience that.
Absolutely.
And whether it's emotional eating, we're feeling down or we're feeling excited or whatever it is, it's the weather now, it's winter, whatever it looks like. How do you suggest we navigate our case of the fuckets when we have it?
Well, you are going to get the fuckets. And it's actually, people think that the fuckets is, and they get so much shame about it. Like, oh, I fell off my thing. I'm not doing my intentions, blah, blah, blah. And I'm encouraging you, like, don't. That's actually a really important part of growth. It's like the puberty of your journey. It's it feels gross. It's essential. It's just awkward. It's yucky to witness. Like, yes, you're not at your best. Oh, honey, it's just part of it. Like, it's part of it. Have so much compassion for the fuckets. It's part of you growing to the next stage. Because if you're getting the fuckets, there's something there that you're trying to tweak. And so this is why I really encourage my people, think of these as not the fuckets or failing. It's an experiment. Ooh. So instead of saying like, oh, I had the fuckets and I ate, all the M&Ms at the experiment, or I just went ape shit over the holidays or whatever, right? Yeah. And then say like, I just did fuck it. And I had every single candy cane margarita, whatever. Yeah. That would be gross. Candy cane martini. Okay. So instead, then you can be like, okay, no, I am an intelligent adult and I ran an experiment to see what would happen if I suspended all of my normal healthy living structures for 2 weeks. And now, as an intelligent adult, I can reflect on that experience and be like, it felt actually really good to suspend those structures for like probably a day and a half. And then after, it was diminishing returns. And then after, it actually kind of started to feel a little bit gross. So in conclusion, next time, I think I'll give myself a weekend to go ape shit, and then I'm going to get right back on or whatever, and this will be different for everyone. I'm not saying that that's the rule for you. The point is that you get to come up with your own new rules that are based on your own lived experience. It's the difference between having some trainer say like, don't eat cookies, eat carrot sticks versus you being like, let me tune into my body. I know that when I have carrot sticks, I feel better. So I'm going to go for the carrot sticks. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And this is a really important part of you becoming a grown ass adult who has simple, natural, healthy habits versus being someone who's constantly trapped in a diet and calculating whether you're following the rules, whether you're fucking up, judging, analyzing. And guys, this is what fuels me so much. I feel like most women in the world have like 30 to 70% of their brain that's constantly watching themselves, calculating their calories, but beating themselves up, thinking, wow, am I going to lose weight before that event? Like, it's like a program running in the background.
Yeah.
And it's eating up so much powerful feminine energy.
Beautiful. Yes.
Sent towards other things. This is why I have my business. This is why I wrote my book. It's why I have my podcast. I want that to stop. And I want all that amazing energy directed towards shit that's going to make us feel good. Yeah.
Amen. I am with you. What you're talking about is self-empowerment. It's basically the person getting to say, you know what? Yes, I ate whatever it is, or I drank, or I did this, or I didn't work out, or whatever it is. But then being able to not like berate yourself for it, but be like, okay, what am I learning from this so that I can take this forward rather than focusing on looking back? That's self-empowerment. Yeah. I love that. I love that angle. Thank you. For someone who's listening, who wants to take the first step. Now, that doesn't mean that it's the first step in any journey. It's the first step after hearing this and being like, okay, all right, I hear this. I hear you, Una Duncan. I hear you. I like the vibe. Whatever it might look like for them, whether it's exercise, food, sleep, whatever healthy habit they're looking to get into, where do you suggest that they start?
Sorry, do you mean like in my world? Is that sort of?
I mean, I just feel like it could be in your world. Like if you say, oh, well, start with me and start by listening to this or doing that. But what I'm trying to get to is like sometimes I feel like some people, they may not be fully aware that this is even a thing in their world.
Yeah.
and that they're like, okay, yeah, I'm kind of hitting 40, or I'm getting to 45, or I'm getting to 50, or whatever it is. Like, I'm thinking of my community. I'm a driven high performer. I have my own business, or I'm in corporate. I'm like doing all the things. I'm a mom. I have kids. I do want to feel better. I do want to be healthy as fuck. But great. I've listened to this podcast, but now what? What should I do? Where do I start?
Okay. All right. I got a plan for you.
Okay, go.
So first of all, if you want mindset stuff, download my book on Audible. For the last couple of years, it's even been free if you have Audible Plus. Okay. So I don't know if that's still the case, because someone told me recently it's not, but check it out. It's like $11 or whatever. It's worth it.
Yeah.
Healthy as fuck. Una Duncan on Audible. So get that in your ear.
Yes.
And then when you want more, because you will, then you're going to get my podcast in your ear. And then you can go to my site and you can download Meal Prep Power Hour. So this is like, because as we were saying earlier, if you have healthy food in your fridge, you're going to eat healthy food. If you don't have healthy food in your fridge, you're going to eat whatever's on hand when you are starving. Totally. And I mean, you just got to look around to be like, you know what? Our food culture is not great.
Yeah.
And what's going to be at hand when I'm starving might not be great for me. So Meal Prep Power Hour, it's free. It's going to teach you how to make a whole week's worth of healthy snacks and good little things in an hour.
Love
I run you through exactly how to do it. Okay. And so that's all like free stuff. And then if you're like, okay, this is good, I want more, I want to put Una in charge of me for the next month, then you can take my 28-day transformation, and I will take such loving care of you. I will take you from feeling, puffy and unsatisfied and grumpy and blah, 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 blah. And we're going to do a meal plan that starts with, super sort of stripped down, because then we add in various elements as you go, because what happens often when people get a little bit older, they've got more sensitivities and things just don't work for them like they used to. And so we're going to gradually add those things back, so you can kind of go through this journey of discovery to make sure what you are ingesting right now is doing what you want it to do for your body right now. And then for exercise, dude, I'm going to take you from yin yoga to freaking CrossFit. Oof. In 28 days.
I'm ready.
And it's so good. It's so good. It's all home videos. You can do it at home. You don't need any equipment other than a resistance band. And you can build some pretty sick muscles. And this is specifically for women who are 35, 65.
I mean, you answered the question perfectly. Now we have exactly the roadmap.
You got a plan.
Oh, yes. I love it. Thank you so much. Where can we find you?
Yeah. Instagram at Una Duncan. My website is fitfeelsgood.com. And my podcast is called Goals, Grit, and Some Woo-Woo Shit.
Oh, I love that. I have yet to go and basically binge listen to the podcast. Now that you've given that to me as an option, I'm going to be doing that. Thank you for your, I don't know, your vibe. It's very refreshing. I love your approach. I hope that those who are listening feel the same. I highly recommend your book. In fact, I will tell you that this week in my mastermind, every Monday I give like a quick short pep talk. It's a video. It gets posted in our circle community, and then they get to watch it on a Monday morning and like kickstart their week. Right. And this week was all about, what are you reading? Like, what are you consuming? Because if you're not reading something, we have a problem. And if you are reading something, I want to know what it is and how we're growing and learning from it. And across the board, like I usually, in my personal and professional development mode of reading, which is always, then I listen to my books. I don't physically read them. I listen to my books and I go across to all different categories. I'm like, okay, business and mindset and money and productivity and all the things. And I love memoirs as well, like especially business owners and like their rise to whatever they've got to. But health is a big part of it. So I was giving them 4 recommendations of current books that I've just read in the last few weeks, one of which is Healthy as Fuck. So I'm like, there you have it. Like when someone gives you that gift and they say, go and read this book because I've read it, I've tried and tested it, I feel like it's like half the work is done for you. Just go listen to it, pop it in your ears. I mean, you and I, Una, we're friends. I took you on multiple walks and workout sessions. You were right there with me. You didn't know it, but
awesome.
That's how we roll.
That is a privilege that I do not underestimate. So thank you for taking me on your walks. Thank you for letting me be in your ear. I love hearing that. Before
we finish up, I'm going to give a little PS to anyone who's listening who owns a business, because a lot of my people are business owners. your business story is of interest as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to link in the show notes the episode that you do with Eleanor about your business, because I feel like we could do a whole nother episode just on that, because the way you've grown your business and how you have gone from a 1-to-1 to a 1 to very many offer is very, very cool and inspiring. So we'll have to do a session 2 for that. But in the meantime, I'll post the link. Okay, amazing. Great. Thank you for joining us. And we'll see you next time on the Results Club podcast.
Okay, dude, I hope you liked that one. And actually, if you're interested in my business story, I'm going to be posting that interview that Leah heard. She references the Eleanor interview. That's coming out soon. But in the meantime, you can check out episode 40, which is called Lessons from 1 Year of Podcasting and 10 Years of Business. And listen, if you know of anyone who is where I was, struggling with their fitness, embarrassed to exercise, falling for every fad diet, please send them this episode and hopefully my story might help them. Okay, until next week. Hey dude, thanks for listening. If you like this episode, make sure you're subscribed so you can get the next one. And by the way, if you rate and review this podcast, it really helps me get found by other people who need some goals, grit, and some woo-woo shit. And be sure to connect and DM me at Una Duncan on Instagram and let me know what you thought of the episode. Chat soon.